can.
Now we got
Got
it.
it.
Now it worked. We're all good. Woohoo. So, welcome to the Global Heart of Peace World Labyrinth Day. So, every year, Global Heart of Peace does a celebration on World Labyrinth Day. So, World Labyrinth Day is actually May 3rd this year. And the whole idea is that everybody walks as one at one. So we thought this year we would do a little bit of a preemptive of that and have a class so we could discuss what a labyrinth is, how to find them, why we want to use them, what's the benefits of using a labyrinth. Um, can you create your own? Where can you get them if you don't feel creative, you don't want to build one? And then I created some affirmations that we can use on a labyrinth if you don't want to do it kind of the traditional labyrinth way, so that we have a different way of using the labyrinth also. So we are going to start with what's a labyrinth. Now, if you guys noticed my wallpaper, um, one of the things that we found in looking at the history of this was that one of the myths is that it was created to trap a minotaur. So I loved that. So I'm like, all right, that'll be my background because, minotaurs are pretty cool. And I love mythology. Now, labyrinths have been around for over 4,000 years. And that to me is amazing. Now, they didn't start out as things you could walk, of course not. They were images, pictures, patterns. And does anybody know the difference between a labyrinth and a maze? Okay, I'm guessing not. So, the main difference between a labyrinth and a maze is that in a labyrinth, you have the patterns are turned with one path. The path is going to take you to the center and then back out to the exit. A maze has all the stops and turns and pivots, and you can get lost in it and you might have to backtrack. So, the idea of the labyrinth is you're not going to do the backtracking, you're not going to get stuck anywhere, you're not going to get lost in there. So, you could just basically meander in the labyrinth without really paying attention to where you're walking, which is really helpful in a spiritual kind of passage. Um, Labyrinths started out as images, like I was saying. They didn't start to be something you would walk until thousands of years later. And now they are available worldwide, and there's multiple patterns. There's the classical pattern. This one right here is the Seventh Circuit Chartres version. And I'm not saying that right, I'm pretty sure. But it's the one that's in the Chartres Cathedral, and that's been there for thousands of years also. So these are your basic patterns. You're going to either have something that looks like this, something with a circle in the center, and it's either going to have the 7th circuit or the 11th circuit on there. Do we have any questions on any of this? Because I just want to do a really quick, brief summary of it. Do we have any questions on the history? Cool. So, some of the reasons that we want to do this. Now, this is an image, of course, of a church. Yet there are places that are secular that people can go and do a labyrinth walk too. So it does not have to be something that has to do with a church at all. It's a great way to start off your day, get a sense of well-being and inner peace, focus on a question or issue, meditation or prayer, is a creative experiential learning context. Celebrate life event. If you want to ask a big question that you're having because something's coming around the corner, like you're turning 50 or something, that's closer than I like to think about. So that's why that's on my mind. To remember somebody or outdoor exercise. And the best thing to remember is you can't mess it up. So a lot of people might look at this and be like, this looks overwhelming and daunting. You can't mess it up. There's nothing that you can do that's going to be wrong on how you walk a labyrinth. Your benefits on that are it can reduce your stress, quiet your mind, open your heart. It promotes interaction of the mind, body, and spirit, fosters creativity, It's a walking meditation, promotes wellness, increases self-awareness, spiritual growth, and they're a right and left brain activity. So I'm going to tell you a little story about labyrinth walking. And some of you've heard this, and some of you haven't, but it goes along with this whole 3 R's. So the idea behind the labyrinth, if you haven't walked one before, is you enter in there and you think of all the things that you want to release and what is coming up for you. Like you could have a very specific idea or not very specific idea. So when I went up to Estes Park on a trip by myself for the first time, and I decided that I was going to do the labyrinth at the YMCA up there and check that out to start off and set my trip on a good intention. So I walked the labyrinth and I was going through it and I'm like, okay, a lot of stress at work. I want to release that. I want to get rid of the stress at work. I want to get rid of the toxic environment. I want to be in a better situation. I want to be healthier, like mentally. I want to not have a toxic boss. I want to release all of the stuff that's keeping me trapped and keeping me from doing what I want to do with my life and everything that's keeping me stuck. So then you get to the center. So I was repeating all of these things. I was coming up with everything I wanted to release through the whole thing. I was going slow. So it was taking me probably like 15 minutes to go through all of this. You get to the center because when you're walking the labyrinth, that's the only choice you have. You're going to get there. And this lady is sitting down, yet you can stand. It's customarily you stay in the center as long as you want. This is where you're receiving. You open yourself up to be willing to receive, to be able to accept the changes that are coming in, because you just released everything. So now we're going to open ourselves up to receive. So you take the time that you need to get into that energy and feel that energy, meditate, pray, whatever you feel like you need to do. So then on the way out, you're going to be thinking about what you want to return to your life, what a reflection of what you would like to create. What is it that you want to bring in? So I was thinking I wanted a new job and I wanted new opportunities. I wanted time to pursue my goals. I wanted to feel passionate about something. I wanted to feel useful. I wanted to have a purpose. I wanted to have value in what I do. And so those were the things that I was wanting to attract in when I left. 2 months later, my position at work was eliminated. So that toxic environment was gone. And my brain went to, oh my God, that's gone. What did I call in? Okay, well, I got the release, but what's coming in? So I went into prayer again and I said, all right, God, here's your choice. Job market's not looking good right now. I get a job or I get my severance package because my severance package was taking a long time to get to me. I'm like, whichever one comes first, I will know is the right thing. If I get my severance package, I get a sabbatical. I get time for me to work on my book, work on my workshop, work on stuff I want to do. If I get a job, then I know that's the job for me. The day before the potential for getting my severance package, I met with my ex's parents who gave me $4,000. The day of the sabbatical, or the day of the next day, I got my severance package. I had more money than I was anticipating. So I have been on sabbatical for a month. I still have a few more weeks. So that's the power of a labyrinth. You can bring in amazing things. You can create amazing things through the labyrinth. So that's kind of a warning and a yay. It's a good thing, but it's also like be very conscientious of what you're asking for when you go into the labyrinth because they're powerful. So before I go on to end the next section, does anybody have any questions? Awesome sauce. So there are over 6,500 labyrinths in 90 different countries. There are so many. I have been to office buildings that have labyrinths in them. So there is a wonderful labyrinth locator where you can go in here and view a map of your world labyrinths and see where the closest ones are to you. So here's your Las Vegas area, so we can go into that. There's tons in Las Vegas. And there's a few, California looks lovely. Look at that. Anybody in California area? I know we have somebody up in Washington, so that's pretty dense for you too over there. But this is pretty cool to see how many different places you can actually go. And look at how many we have in Colorado. Was not even aware there was that many in Colorado because I'm in Colorado. So, um, but that's a great thing to do is so if you feel like I want to go walk a labyrinth, you can come in here and search for it and see what's going to come up for whatever state or country you might be in. So, Delaware has 25. So here's the 25 that you can go to and check out. So that's a kind of a nice thing to be able to do. I am going to provide this PowerPoint to everybody. I might ask you if you prefer a PowerPoint, if you would like these links to be in a spreadsheet or anything that might work better for you. So let me know if that's something different, or I can provide the PowerPoint for you guys. Now, if you have a community and you want to create a labyrinth, that's a lot of work. I do know a few people who've done that, but there are places that you can find guides. So lovely, wonderful guides that you can come here and see. Now the guides are going to be cheaper than actually having somebody to hire to do that. But here's also a different look, a very simple labyrinth. And it you don't really need too much space. Um, Mile High did it right in front of between the two buildings. And to me, that always seemed like not much space, but it was enough to build a labyrinth because I think like they were showing there, some of these are 10 feet, 9 feet, 12 feet. So you don't need a whole lot of space for that. There are companies out there that will come out there and create really beautiful ones for you. Now, these, I'm sure, are, not greatly budgeted, but it's also, permanent. It's not going to get like where you're going to have to do grooming on it. Like some of the ones where you just put down the rocks, you have to go back and groom. That could be something to keep in mind. The other lovely thing that you can do is portable ones, where if you have a community center, you can get campus ones and be able to pull them out and put them away whenever you need them. So that's helpful too. I know Mile High does that too. And I just say Mile High because that's the church that I started out in. So before we started this, we had one person who had a question about how do we get the community involved. So I wanted to have like a discussion about this too, because, how do you get your community to really be interested in building a pyramid? Or pyramid, wow. I don't know where that came from. Labyrinth. So return on investment. I long-term salesperson, so it's always the question of what's in it for me. And I think most people, when you want them to invest their time, their money, their resources of any kind, that's what we have to ask. What's in it for me? And the ability to be able to have some place that's always accessible, that you can go and do a meditation, that you can go and do a prayer, that you can go do a walking, um, time of silence, listen to some music, listen to some meditations, get some clarity. That's always available for a community. That's a huge return on investment. And it's because these are investments. And we will talk a little bit later about ones that aren't such investments, but the real life-size ones that you walk, those are investments. And so it's something where people need to really understand the benefit of it. Now, I had said that Global Heart of Peace does the um on May 3rd, the World Labyrinth Day, the everybody walk at one walk as one at one. I can never remember that for some reason. Walk as one at one. So 1 p.m. they have everyone around the world is supposed to walk a labyrinth that can, that wants to, so that it's up leveling the energy towards peace. Um,
Hey, Lauren,
yeah.
this is Ann.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you mean by 1 p.m.? Because is it a
So
certain time zone or is it my
1
1
p.m.
p.m.?
your time zone. So it is going to be all throughout the day.
Okay.
It is 1 p.m. your time zone. The idea is just that everybody's walking at 1 p.m. Um, and the whole idea behind this is if we can get each individual person to find internal peace, we can up level the level of peace in the world. If we can get people to be focusing on peace and focusing on, the calm and that energetic, we can up level the way the world feels about a lot of things. So that's why this has to do with peace. It's not obvious to most people, but it's a very calming, relaxing, meditative, peaceful experience. Um, so how to get your community involved, advertise on social media. Social media is a big thing, whether we want it to be or not. It's both, a great thing and a bane of most of our existences. So, but it can help. And we do have on our Global Heart of Peace page on May 3rd, we will have a video that is posted about the walking at one. So that everybody can participate in that. We also want everybody to participate. So we say this every year, and we very rarely get videos, but take a video of you walking. Take a video of your center walking. Take a video of somebody you love walking. Take a video of what it means to you. Any of that, so we can get people more interested in labyrinths and peace. Create a ceremony to build the labyrinth. Make it an actual event, like a family fun day or a pizza party potluck type of thing. Kids can do the labyrinth. The labyrinth is super easy. Kids can do it. They might skip, run, and jump and, not really follow the pattern really well. But for them, it's a different kind of experience of peace. It's the fun, joy-filled experience of peace. So we definitely want it to be something where everybody knows this is open for anybody to use, no training and no previous anything needed at all for a labyrinth. Does anybody have anything they want to add to this? Any questions? Any thoughts? Anne.
I was going to say, I became a minister. I passed my panels on January 31st of 2024. Yeah, I know. And shortly after that, I have been for a year doing yard work. And where I live has tons of rocks and dirt. So I built a labyrinth in my backyard and
Awesome.
I celebrated, with it. So I can show everybody if they want to see it. I'm in Southern California. We've had a lot of rain. So it's things are growing in it right now, but I did it all with the rocks from my backyard. So for me, it was just labor. So it was pretty
Yes.
free, but
Yes.
I don't know if anybody's interested, but I'm happy to share.
Absolutely. I am.
Yeah, let me see if I can get my camera to turn around. I'll just leave it this way. It's harder on Zoom, but let me know. Can you see it okay?
No, we got your hand, honey.
Okay, I'm covering it.
There we go. Oh,
So this is the
wow.
entrance. And then,
Very.
like I said, they're all from my backyard. And normally it doesn't have the weeds growing up, but I'm just letting the rain finish. It's almost done here.
Awesome. So, what do you do for your weed treatment? Do you have a plan for that?
Usually we don't have too many weeds. It's on top of what's called DG, disintegrated granite. But I put dirt down so I could walk on dirt. So I only have like 2 inches of dirt. So the weeds are going to be easy to pull out, is my point. There's
Oh,
not
beautiful.
much foundation. So
Yeah.
it'll take me probably a few hours just to go through and pull weeds out of there.
See, I
But
would leave the weeds, but I know eventually it'll cover the rocks. You won't be able to see where you're supposed to walk. So,
yeah, no, like I said, it's DGs and there's felt underneath that. So, the weeds that do grow don't have much foundation.
beautiful. Love that.
Yeah, so I mean, I could even take one of those I can't remember what they're called, like a lip, and just kind of rake the weeds out. So, but yeah, but
Yeah.
no, it's been really cool. So I invite people just to think outside the box. because it's nice just to be able to walk a labyrinth, like Lauren was saying.
Do you have any good experiences you can share with us about walking a labyrinth?
Yeah, what I did was I had a ministerial party and invited my ministerial friends from around here. And we actually blessed the labyrinth and then we all walked it. So, I find it to be very mystical and a just wonderful experience. And it's funny, my neighbors will come by and want to walk the labyrinth. And one of my neighbors, I'm real good friends with, his son loves to come over and just walk it. He's about 10 years old. So it's fun, like I said, you can do it in almost any size and with anything. So big fan.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any experiences walking the labyrinth that they'd like to share?
I don't see any other hands. I would
Michael?
just say,
I thought I saw Michael.
oh, good, Michael, yes.
Well, we're in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We're at the Center for Spiritual Living, Colorado Springs. We have an outside labyrinth that was just built a couple of years ago, and we do that in the summertime. We do it once a month for an organized labyrinth walk. And then during the wintertime, we have a canvas labyrinth that we use in our sanctuary. And we've been doing that for probably over 10 years.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, we've got enough labyrinths, I think.
Now,
And we've got a consistent group that comes on a monthly basis. And after Sunday service, there are people that'll just go out there and walk the labyrinth. So it sees quite a bit of use. And we're looking forward to May 3rd.
oh, awesome. I know that Mile High when they started out with the canvas one when I first walked a labyrinth there, and they have people who will be guides for you. I don't know if you guys do that at your center too, but that's kind of nice to have somebody who's trained, and these people were trained in the labyrinth and then they pray with you after if something came up, because sometimes you're moving energy, things can happen, things can shift, you can start feeling something and you might need some prayer. So it's nice to have a practitioner, somebody who understands the labyrinth around. When I went for my one up in Estes, I waited for the lady who was walking it to get done before I went in because I wanted to be respectful of her space and her energy. And I asked her if she knew about labyrinths before she walked it, and she said no. The people she was on a trip with just told her go walk it, it'll be fun. So I told her a little bit about how I walk a labyrinth, and she's like, that's amazing. I'm going to go get my group and we're going to do it again the way you suggested.
Hmm.
So it was kind of interesting to have somebody there who had never done it before, who just was like, sure, I'll walk. I need some exercise. And then like be able to have a conversation with that person about it. So that's always something to keep in mind, is that when people are novices and they're willing to try something, sometimes it's good to have somebody there who can expand and help with guidance, or help with prayer afterwards, because I didn't realize how much I shifted in my labyrinth experience until months later. But man, have I needed prayer after that. So it has been an interesting experience with the labyrinth. Anybody else have anything on the labyrinth that they would like to share? Kathy, do we have any questions or anything coming in?
I don't see any questions in the chat. I
Cool.
just wanted to say that Camp Cedar Ridge put together a really nice labyrinth, a big one, and many centers sent them painted rocks, like so a painted rock from their center, and they use those rocks in that labyrinth as well, and it's really fun. And then because there are so many rocks in the labyrinth, they also have times when kids paint rocks, and so they'll replace some of the rocks with the new painted ones. It's really a neat
That
idea.
sounds beautiful. I love that. I want to see that. That'd be awesome to see.
Mhm.
So I realize that not everybody has a nice big backyard or a center or thousands of dollars or the willingness and energy to build a labyrinth. Me, I really don't want to do that. That's too much yard work for me. But creating a personal size one is amazing because you can have this with you anytime you're feeling stress, anytime you need focus, anytime you need to breathe and take a moment for yourself. You can have a labyrinth for yourself. These are called finger labyrinths, which sounds really weird to me to say finger labyrinth, but the idea is you trace it with your finger or a pen. And these are the really inexpensive, easy ways to do this. We'll go into a little bit later places where you can get other ones, but these are great projects. Like I love this one that I found that was a kid's project where they made it with string. It doesn't look like a traditional labyrinth. It's not probably the right pattern for a labyrinth. I don't care. It was made by a kid and it's beautiful. So I wanted to put that in there because this is a great idea also. So there are places where you can get printable labyrinths. You can color them in. You can draw on them. You can write all your intentions going one way, and then, what you want to release going one way, what you want to accept in coming out the other way. So it gives you a bunch of choices. The World Labyrinth Day organization has wonderful labyrinths you can print. This is where this website, honestly, go here, read a bunch. There's so much of resources here. These are the people who do the May 3rd event. So this is a great resource to have, but they have these ones that are printable. So you can print these out and create a labyrinth. I want to take one of these out, print one of these out, and go to, I love this place called Ceramics of the City by me. It's a ceramics place, and you can build ceramics, build clay ceramics. I want to take one of these, print them out, and make my own ceramic labyrinth. So that's something that's on my to-do list coming up soon, is to print this out, and then I can just like dig it out, and then I'll have my own nice little fancy one that I get to paint the colors I want, which, is always better than just buying it ahead of time. The other thing that's really great about this is, like, if you do have a youth group, if you have grandkids, if you have kids, if you have neighborhood kids, if you have anybody who wants to have things that for their children to do, these are really easy ones to do. So here is an example for the yarn, how to do the yarn one that's in there. And they created it out of sand, and they create it with yarn, and how to make this arts and crafty. Another one is this site, which I went to for a few things, and she creates actual full art ones. So you can do it with square canvas and the design and paint and make it a painting. And she uses string on this too. You don't have to, you could just paint it, but look at how amazing this is to create your own labyrinth. These would be great. Like today, it's snowing in Colorado. This is a great snowy day project with your kids or your family or your friends, and then you can create something that you can always use again and again and again, and it has your own intentions on it. So here's where do we buy them? Oh yes, Christy.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Lauren. This is so wonderful. I love this. And I remember that when we were talking about this in our Global Heart of Peace Committee meeting, this was an interesting idea came up that I thought that I would share, and that is in relation to senior citizens or people in a retirement facility, for example.
Thank you. I
To
forgot about
work
that.
with an activities director. A good friend of mine is a minister at one of the large retirement facilities here, and I'm telling her about this because that's a way that they could participate in this, because a lot of them aren't able to walk and they don't have a labyrinth there, but it's a way that they could participate. And I myself on that particular day, actually, I have a teenage daughter and He's in competitive dance. We're going to be at a dance competition that day, but I'm going to leave and go sit out in the car quietly. And I'm going to have that, in the middle, like in between activities. Hopefully it'll be at 1 o'clock. And then with the finger labyrinth. So do you see if there's a way to participate? I love that you're showing options here because we can all be part of this, the energy of this on that day or any day. It's so wonderful that there are options. So thank you so much.
Well, and also when you create something like this, it is therapeutic. It is, there's art therapy is a thing. And it's art is a spiritual practice. My one of my friends, I used to feel horrible because I would go paint ceramics. I'm like, I should be doing other things and I should be doing my studying and I should be reading for my ministerial school. And she's like, yes, but that's your spiritual practice. And so sometimes I think we forget that art is a spiritual practice. And I'm thankful that Anne is here today because that I know is a big passion for Anne because I worked with her on that. And it reminded me that art is a spiritual practice. And when we're creating something that you can use for a spiritual practice, you also are, it's a dual form. And honestly, in my mind, the idea of taking a string or a thread or anything and stringing it around an outline to make the labyrinth sounds really, really tedious, but the tedious things are what allow us to focus on something so that the answers can drop in
Yes.
because we're not interrupting ourselves with our thoughts. So to me, the creation of it and then the tracing of it is just it really like focusing in that spiritual practice. Any other thoughts about creating or ideas about ways we can create them and how to use them? Okay, so where do you buy them? So the walkable labyrinths, the ones that are these lovely canvas ones, they are not cheap. And so, but they are available to be ordered in a couple of different places. I just put a couple of different links in here so people could see if they wanted one of these because they're nice to be able to like roll it up and it doesn't have to be out all the time. It's something that you can use when you feel called to. So there's a couple of different places in here for that. Now, the finger ones, if you are not creative, or if the idea of sitting down and making something makes you want to poke your eyes out, because I know some of us are not feeling creative, our lovely friends at Etsy do create beautiful ones. I got one of these for my friend for Christmas one year. I mean, this is gorgeous. Warning, Etsy takes forever. If you want one of these, order it a month early. They do take a while to get to you. Amazon also carries these, which is pretty amazing. If for those of us who are okay with Amazon, I know a lot of them that's a four-letter word, and I understand that and I respect that. But they do have the wood labyrinths. They'll probably get there a little bit faster for you. And then Wood Contraptions is a place that I found that I thought had some really pretty ones. I love this heart one, even though it's sold out. But these are some pretty ones that you can do and put on some meditative music and just run this around. I got this for my friend because I referred her to a job that I knew that at the company I worked in and it was stressful. And I got it for her to sit at her desk so that when she's in meetings that are stressful for her, she could pull out her labyrinth and just walk the labyrinth and get some peace because it's easy to do this. I mean, some of these are not very detailed. It would take maybe a couple minutes to do this. You could take like that few minutes and breathe and just walk it with your fingers and give you the tactical feeling with it. And this is kind of what I was meaning about by creating a ceramic one. I had to put this one in and these are deformed because I wanted to shape them in there, but they are round. But this idea was make the ceramic so that you can have one that you can also, I kind of like the idea of the ceramic over the wood just because of the feel of the coolness of a ceramic. I think that would be nice. The other thing you can do with these is if you have a stylus or like a chopstick or anything, if you don't want to use your finger on it, you can use something like a pen. I say something like a stylus or a chopstick so you don't accidentally click on your pen and write all over it because that would That would irritate me personally. It might be fine for you, but it would irritate me. But you can run it through there with a stylus or anything, just so you're feeling the motions and going through that energy. If you are not in a place where you can go to a labyrinth on May 3rd, finger labyrinth, print one up, keep it on your screen and run your finger on it. You know, buy one of these, make one of these, whatever works for you. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to spend money. You don't have to do, like, I am betting that we could find stuff in our house to make labyrinths out of too, if we're creative enough. So, like, because I mean, the yarn, people have yarn and paper. If you don't have yarn, you might have a string, you might have tape, or like I can picture like shaping straws or shaping like, what do you call zip ties? Like if you cut off the end of a zip tie, but you like shape the zip tie around the pattern. So there's lots of ways we can do participation. There's no reason not to participate on May 3rd at 1, or anytime that you really want to get kind of a sense of peace and calm and shift things in your life. So what other questions might we have? What other thoughts do we have about this in creating labyrinths or getting your own labyrinths?
Or even thoughts about like creating an event for your community. And
Anything that we've covered.
yep. And there is a question about the 1 o'clock. So it is 1 o'clock in everyone's time zone around the world.
Yep.
So that way it creates like a wave. So everybody is doing it on their time zone. So not necessarily all at the same exact time, but at the same time so that it creates a wave across the time zones. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, so we thought that it might be nice to have some affirmations for people who might not feel comfortable just going in to the labyrinth and walking it without any thoughts in their head. And maybe after my story, some people might be a little bit leery about letting their thoughts just run wild. So I wrote up a couple of different affirmations to use, and I tried to get them to match a little bit. So I release all that doesn't serve me. I allow in all the good the universe has to offer. I breathe out worry, fear, doubt, whatever uncertainty, whatever you're feeling. I breathe in love, joy, abundance, peace, hope, whatever you want to breathe in. I let go of the stories that trapped me in the past, and I accept that I am perfect as I am. So some people affirmations really work for. Some people they don't. I don't personally love affirmations that are written by other people for me, but if these work for you, I'm excited about that. I don't, my brain gets like, if you've ever seen the lovely the reboot for the Gilmore Girls where she's talking about how her brain gets off track and she starts on one path and she ends up with monkey underpants. That's my brain. So affirmations and I are not necessarily friends, which is why I wander in and have my thoughts go everywhere and then wander out and have my thoughts go everywhere. But if you need need affirmations, you can use these, you can write your own. The idea is just to allow yourself to open up and make space for whatever your good is to come. Because a lot of times we pray for good. We pray for things we want. We pray for all of the changes that we want in our life, but we forget to make space for that to show up. And sometimes we need to release something, and that could be just as simple as a fear or a doubt or an overarching idea that's keeping us trapped. But we need to make space for that expansion. So this is a beautiful way to make space for expansion as you release all that is keeping you where you are. So that is the whole presentation deck that I have. I will definitely make the deck available for you. If anybody would prefer this, do you think you would prefer the links in a spreadsheet, or is the deck fine?
So
Any
far,
thoughts?
the response has been PowerPoint.
Okay, cool. So I will definitely make sure the PowerPoint's available to everybody who wants it. And I'll post the PowerPoint where I post the video. We are going to be posting this video afterwards, so anybody can have this and watch it later on if it serves them. I would like to open us up because we still have about 15 minutes because I tend to talk fast and I tend to forget half the things I'm going to say. So do we have any questions or any thoughts that we want to discuss? I would love to have a discussion about labyrinths with you.
I just need to leave the group now. So
Okay.
bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining, Anna.
Thank you. Let's see, can I get out? That'll get me out.
All right, perfect.
Not quite.
So, any thoughts, any ideas, anything you'd like to talk about?
One thing that I do want to share is that I thought it was just kind of cute, but on the World Labyrinth Day website, in addition to having those printouts of the labyrinths that you can color or write in your message, they also have like these little round, and you can make them into stickers, but you could cut them out too. They're colorful. And then their suggestion is to put them in your shoes so that you give them out to the people in your community. They put them in their shoes and then they have them in the shoes when they're walking. I just thought it was really neat.
Then
Something
you're
different.
always walking the labyrinth.
Yeah, well, there you go. Put them in your shoes and keep them there always. I was just thinking about right before you went into the labyrinth, you just put them in your shoes and it was just cute. I thought that was a neat idea.
I love that. I love that idea. Any other thoughts, Aldo?
Hi. No, when you were speaking about affirmations, I was just thinking because when we do our heart of peace meditation, we have an affirmation that were written by our minister of prayer team that we recite every service, and there's about 50 affirmation short sentences. And I'm just thinking maybe we can, for May 3rd, we can start reciting it while we're walking the labyrinth.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because I was just when you mentioned that, I said, "Oh, we have that affirmation," and we've been doing this affirmation of. I think we've been doing this for many years now, and we read this every time that we have the part of this, like in the middle part or something.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been to a labyrinth here, but being Vegas, we have a lot of public parks. And one of the parks here, which is, I think it's close to Reverend Cheryl's home in Summerlin, there's a labyrinth there that I used to frequent, especially during the lockdown, when we had the lockdown.
That was smart. I had never thought of that because if they're outside, then that would be easy to do during the lockdown.
Yeah, because that time the gym were closed,
Yeah.
everything was closed. So we were just doing everything, exercising in the park, and we discovered this really nice labyrinth, and we were just walking it, and it's a cool thing, you know. That's why when you were saying, oh, the locator and everything, I said, we have that in the parks here. I haven't seen one in a church or center or community, but
I really love the one in Colorado Springs at the Franciscan Retreat Center because there have been so many times that I have walked that labyrinth and there's either a flower or a lizard or something from nature on the labyrinth while I'm walking. And that's always such a beautiful sign to me, that and the deer are around and it's a beautiful place. So we got to do our ministerial retreat there a couple of years ago, but I don't think they're going to be doing any more of them. But Mile High used to do their meditation retreats there, And it's an amazing place. It's a I think it's a retirement home for the Franciscan nuns. And so they serve the lunch and all that kind of stuff and the food, and but it's a beautiful labyrinth because it's in the mountains, and
Mhm.
it's like, I think it's just cool to see a lizard when you're walking a labyrinth. That just makes my day. Carol,
That sounds peaceful then.
yes.
Oh, I just want to thank you. I'm gonna have to leave, but Aldo, Greater Las Vegas has a labyrinth on their floor in the
Oh, they do?
sanctuary.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
Nice. Awesome. Is it a
Uh,
permanent one?
yeah, it's permanent.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Yes.
oh, maybe we can do that.
Yeah. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming.
All right.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much, Cheryl.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, any other thoughts, any other ideas about peace and the labyrinth and what that could be, how those two can tie together?
I think in terms of uh, times and even world peace, and this being a time where the world is coming together, the people will be walking all around the world. I just want to reiterate what Lauren said about videoing, because you can even submit your video to the World Labyrinth Day website. And I watched their 2024 video. They have all over the world, places all over the world and different states within the United States. And it would be really neat to have your experience expressed there in their video as well.
That would be amazing. Yeah. I forget about those kind of things too, because it's such a big resource. That website is amazing. The World Labyrinth Day website is just an amazing website with lots of details, lots of information, lots of places to get labyrinths, to find out about how to make labyrinths, all that stuff. Your printable labyrinths are there. It's a beautiful resource. So if you have time to check that out, you don't want to check out the other links, that one's definitely the one I would recommend the most. Um, and hopefully that can, encourage people to use them, because it's I didn't really on I the first time I walked a labyrinth, nothing happened. So, I was like, whatever, no big deal. My whole life got turned upside down the next time I walked the labyrinth. So, it's powerful when you believe and when you really have that intention and you really have that energy around, I'm ready for a shift, I'm ready for a change. And I can tell you there are days where it's hard, and the struggle bus is a real thing. And, you have everybody under the sun asking you, do you have a job yet? Do you have a job yet? And you just want to, you know, run and crawl into a hole. And I spent every day this week, I wrote one chapter of my book. So I'm up to 4 chapters. They're short right now. It's just getting the stuff out. But I've had the time to sit down and write my book, which I've been talking about for 7 years. And I'm meeting with somebody next week to talk about starting a podcast because she's done one successfully. This is something I've been talking about for 5 years that I never felt I had time to do because I was always working. And so even if I only have a few months, it still gives me space and it gives me time to reset my brain so that when I attract another job in, it's the right one and it's not toxic and it is a good experience. So this is kind of what I want people to take away, is that the labyrinth is powerful. It is peaceful. It is joyful. It is celebratory. It is anything you want it to be. It is life-changing if you allow it. And it is also something that could be a regular practice, an everyday practice, a once a month practice, and a once a week practice, anytime that you feel a called to it kind of practice. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. And do yourself a favor, at least print one out or go get one or create one if you're creative, and really just tap into that energy and allow yourself to make space for the new and the good. Because the world's abundant and there's lots of good out there, and we just need to allow it in and accept it and realize that we all deserve it. And I think that's the energy the labyrinth can give us. Any other thoughts? Any other questions? Any other closing ideas?
Just thank you so much, Lauren, for doing this. Greatly appreciate it. So yeah, a lot of good ideas.
Thank you. Michael?
Yes, thank you very much, both you and Kathy and
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you.
I'm so glad you joined. I really appreciate everybody who joined tonight. I really appreciate your time and your energy on this. And I know that going forward, I'm just going to do a quick ending blessing that we all have just a wonderful, beautiful night, a beautiful month ahead. And that until we do this wonderful walk together on May 3rd, we are setting our intention for the best and the highest in life. And it comes to us with ease and grace. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you. You
much.
all have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you so
much
much.
appreciated. It was really